Hey everybody, Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project. Whoops. Alright, it's early Friday morning, and I've got to get somewhere by 8 a.m. And so sorry I'm not looking so good. And I didn't really sleep last night either. Had a lot of anxiety. Had the transmission, 75,000 mile fleshy on the van, and there was like metal in the pan, and so the mechanics basically said they don't know how long the transmission will hold up. So that's pretty stressful when your vehicle is your home. So, yeah, and trying to get the whole fan blower going so that we have air conditioning, because it's already getting too hot for Jen, and we don't even have a fan, like the whole thing's broken. And I had pretty much all the other parts of the air conditioning totally fixed last summer, and then now the upper part is like not working. And yep, so anyway, I'm going to learn how to do mechanics, I think, here in my near future. But yeah, just kind of overwhelmed with the whole transmission thing, and, I'm just overwhelmed, period, right now. And that's just about it. There's only so much water treading you can do for so long before, there's just a period where you just can't do it anymore. And, I think I'm pretty much there. If anything happened to the van, then... Anyway, I'm driving while I'm talking to you, so sorry you're kind of hiding behind the coffee. But that's kind of where I had to put you. So anyway, thought I'd talk about some stuff on my way to my appointment. I haven't really been on YouTube. I moved in town, and there's just other people that are, around more, and it's difficult to make videos. And there's just a lot more drama. Less abuse, but more drama. And there's just some things that are becoming like, extremely like kind of, like a parent kind of a thing. That I notice, and, always trying to put a language to, maybe explaining it or being able to give a better understanding or whatever else. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, so one of the things that I've really been seeing lately, my grandmother on my mom's side was a legitimate prophet, full-on prophet. But I don't know if she was old school prophet or not, but she did not prophesize kind of in the way that a lot of these religious mainstream people are prophesizing. I think it's kind of long and drawn out. The other thing, it's more of a vision, right? It's not a prophecy. So one of the things I've learned from my Native friends is that, they don't call their stuff prophecies. At least the older ones don't. They call them visions, that they had a vision, they gained a vision, and then this is what they saw, And it isn't really a prophecy until it comes true. So, there's also, if people have been watching my channel for a while, you know how I feel about channeling, and there's a story behind it. There's stories behind it. And those beings are just not very good beings. And they're liars. And they like to keep us, us rats in our maze. And the other thing, too, is that more and more and more, we're living in a Truman Show. And I don't even think it's as with, a Matrix flare where you have Agent Smith that pops up through other people. And it's weird. Like, you'll be talking to people. Never Lose Truth. She's been reporting a lot of this. They call it like digital dementia, where if people don't have their phone or are like plugged into their phone or their Wi-Fi, they really can't come up with a solution or an answer. That's transhumanism, kind of a thing. It's very Agent Smithy, like in the Matrix when you think it's somebody in the public. It looks, smells, it feels like another human. But yet you have that moment where like you're trying to get information from that human and they go blink like they're a robot, they're android-y. And and then or Agent Smith pops out of them, and starts chasing you and shooting at you, trying to get you back into submission or control. Notices you, kind of. So I just want to talk about the typical public, I don't know if you want to call it mind control, transhumanism. Those are like agendas or terms that they, use. Predictive programming is probably a little bit closer to probably what it is. So yesterday, the mechanic pulled an Agent Smith on me and it's interesting how Agent Smith kind of comes out in people kind of at the right moment where they know it's really gonna target you and stress you out. And I realize from my teachers and working with my teachers, a lot of my shaman, native teachers, I shouldn't really be affected by what's going on around me. But, it takes work. It takes work, and practice. And the more drama there is, the less time that you can find in a day, to do your practices, to be able to neutralize yourself and not let yourself slide off your own personal medicine wheel, and standing strong in the center of it. So, one of the things that I see a lot of currently is this really weird stuff that's coming out of the past, supposedly. Now, I'm going to preface this with, we don't know. I'm not, 1,500 years old. The average person is not 1,500 years old and, can remember the history or, has carried the history forward of, exactly things that may have taken place. So, just because it's on TV or it's written in a book, doesn't matter what kind of book it is, or it's on a painting, or, whatever it's going to be, doesn't make it real and doesn't make it fact. But many of us have been dissolved into the mainstream systems of beliefs around science and history and medicine and, all kinds of wacko stuff that really, if you think about it, doesn't really make sense, right? There's a point in your life where you go, wow, this life that I'm living that I think is real, but the facts that it's not real, or that, I've been living lies, is pretty darn apparent. And then trying to hold it together and keep, a roof over your head and food in your mouth becomes like an impossible feat, because you kind of move into like an emotional catatonic phase for a while. It is what it is. So, I could do things like go to the stream, and find out what, the history of what has happened has been going on here. But I can tell you the history that the ETs have told me, stuff that I came here with, and also traveling the stream, especially when I do sessions with people. I do those now by Zoom for the last, couple years. I used to only do a lot of this work in person because, I didn't really want, Agent Smith involved in what I was doing for people. But everything here is, pretty much a lie. And it depends. It depends on the culture sometimes. It depends on the creation, distribution, placement of the products. Product placement. It's, this is the thing is, like, people used to say in the 80s, oh, look, they put a Coca-Cola on the movie. Oh, look, it's product placement. So that you'll go, subliminally go get a Coca-Cola or whatever. Well, the thing is, like, in predictive programming, we have that same kind of crapola, and product placement. And so when I finally learned that this thing that we're engaged in here, and mind you, this is what the stream is talking about, mind you, that I'm going through like a construction zone, so I had to pay attention. Anyway, mind you that every time they've established another new race, and I don't want to call it like another new race, but let's just say I think a lot of different, there's a focus on the Anunnaki, but I think there are a lot of extraterrestrials that created a lot of different kind of humanoid races. But I don't believe from the information from, native teachers and from the ETs that at one point in time there were races that were brought here to take care of this planet and, the things that the planet was going to be and do. And it was all like a really good thing. And I've talked about those in my video. It would have been a good thing. And then, it got hijacked because, all these things got put here. And then other extraterrestrials, instead of, working together, decided to start harvesting and stealing, which is pretty typical of this reality. But, so one of the things that the Greys talk about, not all Greys are Greys. I mean, you'll have some that are conscious and kind of have a soul, and then the rest of them are androidy, carrying out the scientific and whatever data. They do a lot of the biological and data collection kind of a thing, because, eventually they're going to have to adapt our biological material for, a sick planet, or, see how we work in different kinds of atmospheres. And I think that's some of the stuff that they're doing is, like, they spray the chemtrails. Number one, I think that the reptilians here, even the hybrids, need to live more in an acid state, and we live more in an alkaline state, which naturally destroys the alkaline planet and kills us, and then eventually they have to move on. But also, I think some of it is experimental, to see where they could take our biological material, to make humanoids like us, make us and manufacture us for other planets, for labor or whatever else, inhabit or whatever. So I think that they are creating really chemically here as we're coming in kind of to the close of, as the Hopi would call it, I don't know, the sixth, I think it's the fifth, I think the Hopis call this the fifth extinction. Okay, so there's stuff, like I have people that'll send me stuff. They get really caught up in, that it's history. It's coming from the past. Any, like powerful guru person, person of knowledge knows that past, present, and future are happening simultaneously, which means that there is no history, right? And there really is no time travel. It's a projection of your state of consciousness. And I've said this before, but a while back, like 15 years ago, I had this one teacher that was Sikh, did the Kundalini work, and he also did a type of, what is it called, Mount Sinai healing shamanism type thing. And I remember, I was having a lot of drama. Was being hooked into a lot of drama, and so I went to him to talk to him about the drama. And basically, one of the things he said is that, like past, present, and future, are all happening simultaneously. So why is it that you focus in this life experience in this present time? Why are you obsessed with it? That you can't move freely in the past, present, future time continuum? It's a good question. Okay, coming back for part 2.